This is Canada Reads American Style, featuring two friends who love Canada Reads and Canadian literature. Welcome our host Rebecca from Michigan and Tara from Ontario.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Canada Reads American Style. I'm Tara and I'm here with Rebecca. Hello, Rebecca.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. How's life treating you?
Well, I just have to give a shout out to my water guy. You know, I have water delivered monthly. And my water guy, Don, today, when he pulled in with his massive truck, he was able to crush down the snow at the end of my driveway that I personally could not shovel. And I told him when he got out of the truck, I said, "Thank you for clearing my driveway." And he laughed and he goes, I'll finish the rest of it on my way out. And he did. He flattened all because I had just been able to shovel enough for me to get in and out.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, because we've had a lot of snow, which don't get me wrong, I love, but my snow blower is on the fritz right now. And I've been having to hand shovel everything. And I'm at an age where they tell you not to, do that. But
yeah,
I take my phone with me in case I have a stroke or a heart attack. And then I figure I can hit 911.
Well, because the snow that accumulates at the end of your driveway after you've shoveled is always the heaviest, the hardest, and the iciest snow. It's as soon as when you finish shoveling and you hear that snowplow coming, you're like, oh, for God's sakes. Yeah.
Yep. And the township is so funny because they send out every year, they send out this thing about how to shovel the end of your driveway so that doesn't get blocked. And I do that and it's bullshit. Let me just say that. What the township says is crap because the guys come and they just go, brah, and then, your
what do they
driveway
recommend?
is
I didn't even know there was.
Yeah, there's like this cutout you're supposed to do. So like I'll show it to you, but
Okay.
it's like when the truck is coming, there's this one section at the beginning of your driveway that you're supposed to like cut out like a V-shaped kind of, like a V-shaped thing.
Yeah.
And then that way it's supposed to not end up with any snow in your driveway, blocking your driveway, but it's complete bullshit. And it makes me mad that they send this thing out every year and I've done it and I'm not doing it anymore. I'm like, screw you guys. Like you're going to cover me up anyway. So I'm not going to do the extra work to begin with because it just makes it completely ridiculous. So, but what you said is true because it was high, it was icy, it was heavy, and I had to take it layer by layer by layer, but I cleared out just enough from my car. And when he was pulling in, he was backing into my driveway. I was like, oh my God. And he just crushed right over all that snow and it was perfect. So shout out to Don.
Let's hope Dawn listens. Who knows?
Maybe. Anyway, what's up with you?
Oh, I can't really think of anything though. What pops into my mind is last weekend. So Keegan and I are really getting into musicals.
Mm-hmm.
And last weekend we watched I think it's from 1972 version of Cabaret with Liza Minnelli.
I saw that, yeah.
Which I had not seen when I was younger, and I'd seen like a show here in Toronto in like the early 2000s of it, and I loved it and stuff like this. And Keegan and I had been talking about Cabaret, and I was like, you know what, we should look to see if we can find. First, initially, I think we were thinking like a Broadway cast of Cabaret that had been filmed, but we couldn't. But we came across Liza Minnelli, so I'm like, let's go for this. That show. Okay, like I've watched a few things with Liza Minnelli and I get it, but we were watching this show and when she first performs, I went to Keegan, I'm like, oh my God, I get the Liza Minnelli thing.
Oh.
Her voice, those legs, the dancing, and she's amazing. I'm like, I totally get the Liza Minnelli thing. So loving her. And then the movie, I think, made lots of changes to the original Broadway show in order to make it like a movie version, but which really worked out. It was very impactful. But for 1972, way ahead of its time in terms of what it covered in, there was a trans character that was just treated as a woman. Like there was no comment made about this being a person wearing women. Like it was just like there was just a trans character. It was beautiful. and about abortion. Like the, you know, like I was like what it said about abortion and a woman's right to have an abortion. It was just, it was for 1972. I was amazed how it held up in that way.
Yeah, well, that's because it was also set in Europe, and I think the Europeans had a different take on the world than we did.
Yeah.
And here, at least in the US, since then, we've just become more and more and more that fundamentalist stuff has moved in, and now we've completely regressed and we're going backwards. Whereas I think in Europe, they just had a more I think, I don't know this for
Mhm.
sure, but it feels like because if you look at European films from long ago, it was the same thing. They were exploring themes and things that we didn't do here.
Yeah.
So I think that's kinda true.
Yeah. Oh, and bisexuality was in it. Yeah, like I was just like this. So highly recommend 1972 Cabaret with Liza Minnelli.
Yeah, I saw it for the first time a couple of years ago because same thing. We saw it on the big screen. They had
Mhm.
shown it was some anniversary thing of it, and we saw it on the big screen because I had never seen it before, which was I always liked Liza Minnelli, so I was surprised that when it dawned on me I'd never seen it. So yeah, but I will tell you, I'm going to be in Chicago next year. Chicago the musical is coming, and I used to love this. I love the soundtrack when it came out,
Yeah.
and I've never seen it live performed. So I'm so excited to see that next year.
Yeah. I saw it at Stratford a couple years ago and
Mhm.
loved it. Yeah. So yay. Super exciting. Okay. Let's get into our book talk, starting with our currently reads. I'll go first. So I
Okay.
have two. I'm just like taking control here.
Okay.
I'm bringing two currently. So my current nonfiction, I actually just finished it this morning, but I'm going to bring it as my currently reading. And it is, no surprise, a birding memoir because that's my new favorite go to nonfiction. But it is called Turning to Birds: The Power of Beauty and Noticing by Lili Taylor. Lili Taylor, the actor. Do you know
Oh,
who I'm talking about? She was in
yeah.
Mystic Pizza and I
Mhm.
Shot Andy Warhol. I think that one. Yeah. So this, I just had not heard of this book. I had seen it in the bookstore and went, grabbed it because it also has a beautiful cover. It is a collection of essays. Each essay focuses on her experience with a particular bird or an aspect of birding life, such as
Mm.
like binoculars or attending a bird festival. Like it's very beautiful. Each chapter has a beautiful illustration at the beginning. So I love a bird illustration. What I found very interesting about this book, like how she makes it a little bit her own, is that she takes what she has learned from acting because she is very much a character actor. And she even says, like, you know, you might recognize me, but you also may not, kind of thing. And she talks about her acting and how she learned acting. And a lot of it is, so there's that saying, you know, like being in the moment.
Mhm.
She doesn't do that. She had learned that you listen in the moment. So that, because if you're being, you're just kind of, maybe you're not really taking it in. But if you're listening, you're
Oh.
taking in what's around you and you're noticing. And she took that into birding when she started to get into birding. So I really like that connection between the two, her two passions, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
It also, the other thing I loved about this book is she calls herself, and I love how some actors are introverts. You never think that an actor is an introvert, but she is an introvert. She says naturally she says no to things and rather stay by herself. Birding has forced her to say yes to new experiences that at first she's like, why have I said yes to watching thousands of cranes with 30 other people in a little hut kind of thing. And then she's like, this is why I've said yes. So highly recommend for a
Yes,
birding memoir. Yeah,
sounds really
yeah,
good.
yeah. It was very enjoyable. Okay, now this is the book I almost messaged you about yesterday, but didn't. And it is my current fiction read.
Okay.
And because I'm having a complicated relationship with this book. It's
Oh.
coming out, I think it's already out in Britain, England. It's coming out early 2026, I believe. So I got like an arc from NetGalley. And it is Call Me Ishmaelle by Xiaolu Guo. And what attracted to me this book me to this book was that it is a feminist retelling of Moby Dick. So I'm like,
Ooh.
yes, right? So I was like, I am in for any kind of feminist retelling. Okay, I'm going to give a little synopsis first, and then I'll get into my complicated relationship with it.
Okay.
Okay, and it's weird because you really kind of don't need a synopsis of it because it's a retelling of Moby Dick, and I think that's part of my problem with the book. So it happens in 1843 England. Our protagonist is a young English woman. She's very young at the time we meet her, like in her teens, kind of thing. Ishmaelle. So Ishmaelle. So like the
Oh.
feminized version of Ishmael. She has lost her family except for her brother, but he has gone on to lead his own life. But her parents, her younger siblings, she has lost. And she wants something more from her life than what is available to her as a young woman in the 1840s. So she disguises herself as a cabin boy and sets sail for New York. Years later, after arriving in New York, as the American Civil War breaks out, she obtains a position on the whaling ship, the Nimrod, which is captained by Captain Seneca. Again, she is still disguised as a young man, which I think is becoming a little more difficult as she becomes an older, moves into more, what would I say, like a more of a life of a young woman kind of thing.
Yeah.
But so Captain Seneca, this is also, what I found interesting is that Ishmaelle, obviously we flipped the gender there. We've got a female protagonist. Captain Seneca, what Glow has done with the Ahab character is that he is a black free man, which is, I was like, okay, I'm like, that's kind of cool. He is, of course, hyper focused on the white whale who took his leg. So he has lost a leg to this white whale years ago, had retired, but a family tragedy that's kind of hinted at, a little bit of it. I'm not going to spoil anything here, has brought him out of retirement as he hunts down the white whale. That's a big metaphor right there for hunting down the white whale as a freed black man. And the crew itself is a very diverse crew in terms of race. So again, I love what she's doing with that. Where I start getting not unsure of this book is that I think I expect it when I have a retelling, I like a modern retelling, and it is not modern. It's almost, I feel like I am reading Moby Dick, but
Oh,
just
okay.
with different characters. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I think I was expecting modern as opposed to set in the same time. That's on me. That's not on her. Her writing is, I know she's a good writer. Apparently, I haven't read anything else by Glue, but she's very well respected in the literary world. She's so good that I feel like I am on that whaling ship at times, like
Oh.
eating the food that they are, smelling everything, sleeping in a hammock in a room full of sailors. And I'm not sure that that's a place that I want to inhabit. That viscerally, like I'm like, oh, and there's a scene where she describes the killing of a whale that is
Oh.
heartbreaking. Like I know what's going to happen. They're on a whaling ship. I don't know if I wanted it described quite as well as it was described.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, Ishmaelle is sexually assaulted. Not once, but twice. Once I was expecting, twice it was also very and that's where I've actually taken a break from the book. Like at the second sexual assault, I didn't even finish reading because it was getting very detailed. I'm like, I'm out and I've closed the book. I think I'm like 60% in. I really
Ooh.
want to know what happens to Ishmaelle,
Yeah.
but I'm having difficulty reading the book, you know?
Yeah. Wow.
But I think I'm ready to pick it up again, and because it's short chapters. Like it's not like it's like going to be picking it up and know that I'm going to be reading like a 20-page chapter before I get a break. The chapters are 2 to 3 pages. I'm like,
Oh,
I
okay.
can do that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I
Ooh.
was very close to DNFing, but I've taken a break. I'm like, okay, I think I'm actually ready to pick it up again. I'm just going to skip the chapter that I'm currently on, move on to the next one.
Yeah,
What do you
I think if I got that far into it, I probably in fact, that kinda happened to me. I was at about a 50% on a book, and I ended up DNFing it, but I skim read just to get to the end to see, like, well, how did it play
mm,
out?
mhm.
And I felt that I made the right decision because it didn't really grab me at the end either.
Okay.
So I think I mean, you're really good. I mean, you don't DNF that often. Well, I mean, I know you say you do from time to time,
Yeah.
but I think 60%, oh, that's a hard
It's
one.
right, because if I
Yeah.
do DNF, and I think I've maybe DNF'd maybe 4 books so far this year. If
Mhm.
I do DNF, it's usually I don't really give a book a long time. Like, I
Yeah.
usually know within, like, 10% or 50 pages whether or not it's a book I want to continue reading. And I have really up until the last maybe 20 pages, I've been into it. But as we're getting more into the voyage of the whale,
Yeah.
and getting closer to the white whale, like, it's becoming more, yeah, visceral in the
Mhm.
experience, and but again, and I don't think it's an issue with the book. I think it's me as a reader. Is this the book I want to read? Right?
You know, that and that's so funny because that's what happened with me with the one I just DNF'd recently, is that I ended up not because I don't read multiple books at a time, like, I read 1 book at a time, that's it.
Yeah.
And I went, like, 4 or 5 days and never picked up that book and didn't read a thing, and then finally I said to myself, "Okay, if that's not the freaking indication that you should just DNF a book, then that because you're not every day." Obviously, I love to read, but if I let 4 or 5 days go by, I mean, I had other things to do, but I'm still saying I didn't carve out time
Yeah.
to read, then that book is holding me up, and it's kinda wasting my time now, so
Yeah.
that's why but see, you just set it aside because it was feeling pretty intense
Hmm.
and you had strong feelings about it, so
Yeah.
that's not the same, so I I think yeah, I think you'll probably continue, and even if you skim read it just to kinda see how it
Yeah.
goes, that may be what that may be the best you can do with it,
Yeah.
you know?
Well, and initially when I closed it, I was like, I think I'm just DNFing this. Like, I was
Oh,
like, ooh, at 60%, I think I am. But it's been about 2 days, maybe day and a half since I've read it. And I'm at the point where I'm like, she's still in my head. Like,
yeah.
Ishmaelle is still there, and I kind of want to know what happens to her.
Yeah.
So I think I got to pick up that book, suck it up. Some things aren't easy to read, and just see what happens again.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a really good point. It's not that you didn't like the story as much as like I said, it's kind of almost like strong content that you don't
Yeah,
normally expose yourself maybe
yeah,
to that level.
yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense.
It kind of does. Yeah.
Because I don't wanna read about the killing of a whale. I just would
No,
not be able to do that.
it was difficult. It was just too detailed,
Yeah, I don't wanna
right?
read
That
that.
I was like, I don't know.
I still haven't forgotten the vegetarian when I read that book, so
Yeah, yeah.
but I finally did realize that when I come across something where an animal or a child or something bad is happening, I literally say to myself, "This is fiction. This isn't real. This did not happen to a real dog. This did not happen to a real child." And then I can keep reading it. But I have to literally say that to myself to be able to get through a passage.
Yeah.
Like, you're good about being able to skip over that part, but
Hmm.
I just said to myself, "Just it's not real. Just you can read it. It's not real." So, yeah.
Oh, and you will still read it?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I'll still
Yeah.
read it.
Okay. Yeah.
I do that with scary movies now too, because I don't really like to watch scary movies, but if something
Yeah.
really bad is scary, and I literally out loud say, "This isn't real. It's a movie. There are actors, there are a whole bunch of people standing on that stage, they're filming it, they're making it creepy for whatever reason, and then I can get through it. Now, I
Hmm.
also only watch it during the daytime, but that's my because it
Yeah.
still feels very real to me, so I only do that in the daytime, but yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, whatever.
Good to know. Good to know.
All right, well, keep us posted. Keep
I
us
will.
posted.
I will. I was going to say, maybe I will be sitting there going, Rebecca says this isn't real. Keep reading. Keep reading.
There you go.
Oh, what's on your shelf lately? Like
Okay.
currently?
So I just finished one this morning, a book this morning, and I now thought, oh, yeah, this is what I'm going to read next because I had started it. It's Stories for Winter and Nights by the
Oh,
Fire, which is a book that I had picked up the last time I was, or one of the times I was in Sarnia at my favorite bookstore, the bookkeeper. And it is interesting because it's the British Library Women's Writers series. And so it's Edith Wharton, Catherine Mansfield, um, Shirley Jackson, Angela Carter. So it's chronologically ordered so that the first short story is Edith Wharton, and then it's the rest of the books are later in the time period of when they were written. So
okay.
anyway, I read the first one, Edith Wharton, who I is my new person that I discovered this year finally, and I really loved that first story. Looking forward to reading the rest of them, especially reading him in the winter time. I'm
Yeah.
pretty excited about that. And then I just want to mention a book that is I got from the library, and it will tie into what I'm going to talk about in a second here. But it's the Screwtape Letters by C.S. Lewis, which when I told a lot of my friends that I was reading the Chronicles of Narnia, every single person said, "Have you read the Screwtape Letters?" And I said, "No, I haven't. I'm aware of it. I've never read it." They Everybody has pushed me to pick it up from the library, and so I'm going to read that one. And so that's what I'm currently reading or about to read, but I'm going to jump right in. I'm going to be bold
Yep.
here and just
Yep.
jump right into what I have read over the past month. And it's going to take up not that many minutes to talk about, really, because it was the Chronicles of Narnia. I finished the whole series. Yay.
Wow.
I
Very
did.
cool.
I didn't read anything except Narnia. And so I was completely immersed in it. And I just want to say, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail because what's really fascinating to me when I told people, adults, that I was reading it, most of them said, "Oh, I read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, or I read a couple of them, but I never finished the series." And I just want to say that I cannot get over how much I love this series. Like, I loved everything about this series, and I'm not a series reader, but there was some, and I think especially because I was reading them, I'd stop reading one and immediately pick up and start reading the next one. And I read them chronologically, and I highly recommend doing it that way. Uh, Not in publication order, which even C.S. Lewis had said read them chronologically. So it started with Magician's Nephew, and actually they weren't horribly out of order in terms of publication year, but there's a little bit of a switch there. Also, not all of the books are really like heavily Christian allegory. So it's interesting because I'm reading another book. I just started one that my niece gave me, and it's a minister who has a PhD and is a big Narnia fan and big C.S. Lewis fan. And he even mentions that I think there's like 3 out of the 7 are really sort of heavily Christian allegories. And I thought, oh yeah, that makes sense. Cause sometimes I would be reading one and I'd think, well, where is the connection to this sort of Christianity thing that
Hmm.
everybody talks about? And I couldn't always find that connection. And anyway, so in case somebody's thinking like, oh, they're just this heavy Christian allegory, books about that. It's not all that, certainly. And the other thing I loved is I'm not a fantasy reader, but here's what I loved about it. It was the right pace for fantasy for me, which is that there would be tension, like something would happen, there would be some tension, and then it would get resolved. And it was a fairly smooth transition. And so to me, the stories were always flowing. I love the characters. I love the I love Narnia. I love the world that he built, and each of the books is so different from each other. So I really thought Narnia was going to be like this thing that was just all connected, but you could read any of these books as a standalone and really enjoy it. So my favorite of the series was The Voyage of the Dawn Treader. That was my very favorite one. I really loved that book. And each time I read one, I said, that's my favorite one. And then I would think, okay, you have to really think about these. You can't keep saying it's your favorite one after you've read it. And then I got to the last book, And I will say, for anyone who has not read it, I'm not going to have any spoilers, but I highly recommend reading it as an adult. But the last book shocked the shit out of me. I'm not going to lie, because it
Mm.
was not what I was not expecting it. For a minute and a half, I thought this feels very like this is not how it should have been. But then I realized that is how it should have been, and I thought it was brilliant. But I had I did not see it coming. Even though I should have, I didn't see it coming. So anyway, highly, highly, highly recommend. If you've only read one of them, ah, anyway, it made
Okay.
me want to read more kids fantasy. I just don't think I'm never going to be an adult fantasy reader
Yeah.
because that world building stuff is just too much. It's just too much
And
for
these are
me.
shorter books too, right? They're not big.
Well, they're about they're small paperbacks, but they were about 250 to
Okay.
270
Yeah.
pages, small print. So I mean, they weren't huge.
Yeah.
Certainly not, what's his name, Brandon Sanderson
Oh,
or whatever his
yeah,
name is,
yeah.
or whatever. Yeah, it's not those big books. So it would take me like 2 days to read one really, and I mean, like concentrated sitting down, really reading them. But I have to say, I am especially because when I always wanted to read it and I just had never had. And even then, it sat in my house for years because I kept thinking like, I don't think it's going to be all that good.
Mhm.
And now I'm like, oh my God, I absolutely
You were
loved it.
wrong.
And next week I will be in Chicago to see the play, A Christmas with C.S. Lewis, a play that I'm going to go
Perfect.
see next week. So I'm really excited about that.
I have 2 questions for you.
Sure.
One, where in the series did Voyage of the Dawn Treader fall then? That ended up being your favorite book. Do you remember?
I had to look it up. The Voyage of the Dawn Treader was book number 5 out of 7.
Okay. Okay.
And
Interesting.
yeah, and again, I was loving each one, but then and it's really funny because even The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe isn't my favorite one. Like, it's the one that everybody has read if you've ever read any Narnia, and it wasn't even my favorite. And there's some controversy to it. It's really fascinating because there's one of the main characters, there's some little bit of controversy with that character, which I didn't know about. And then when I read about it, I was like, yeah, I can see both sides of the issue too.
Mhm.
Anyway, there's so many layers and so many things about it. So yeah.
My second one, now having read it, like, just straight through 1 to 7, and I know you said that you can read each book individually, but do you see it as a complete world now? Like, did it all come together as a complete world?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, by the last book, there was a continuity, and there's continuity through the whole thing, but I'm also saying that you could just read it as a standalone
Mhm,
because he references a little bit of the past so that you're never it's not you don't need to have read them, but it obviously it just that's the thing, the layers that make it so fascinating is that you've got this thread that's running through the whole thing, and Aslan, the lion, is in every book.
mm,
So Aslan is the unifying character through the whole series, but not all the characters are in. Not like the four Pavenzi children are not in all 7 books,
mm,
which that surprised me. I kind of thought they would be, and they
yeah,
aren't. But they're in selected books. And then he brings in a couple of new characters. I think in book 5, I think that's where, yeah, a couple of new characters that end up being later in the books as well. So anyway, I just thought he did a really good job. But I was reading that Tolkien said that I guess he thought the series was crap, and he was good friends with C.S. Lewis, but he said,
mhm.
you didn't do a good job, and he never read, I think, anything beyond The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I think,
Oh, that's fascinating. I
even though they
bought,
were good friends.
my niece loves Tolkien, I believe, maybe even C.S. Lewis. And I had bought her last Christmas, or was it her birthday? Doesn't matter. It's a graphic novel that tells, I think it was called The Myth Makers, and it tells the friendship between the two men. It's all about the
Oh
friendship between the
yeah.
two men. Yeah,
I'll have to look for that because yeah, well, I just read that recently that Tolkien was not a big fan of Narnia and never finished the series, and I guess gave him
that's
some
funny.
stick about it, but whatever, I don't care.
That's funny. Ah, friends do that.
I tried reading whatever the first book in
The
Lord of
Hobbit.
the Rings. No, I didn't read The Hobbit. It was the other whatever the
Oh,
first one.
okay. I can't remember either.
I don't remember, but anyway, I read that one and I was like, yeah, this is not for me
Mhm.
at
They're
all.
very different. Like, the two series.
Oh, yeah, and that's why I say I think I'm more of a kids fantasy reader probably than I will ever be an adult fantasy reader.
Mhm.
It's just too much it's too much stuff to remember, to be honest with you,
Yeah,
in adult fantasy, because the books are all like chonkers, man. They're all like
huge.
huge,
Yeah,
and then I don't know how people remember everything. I don't know how they do it.
yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, so that's all I wanted to talk about Narnia. That's it. So, I'm curious if anyone has read all of them, and if you have read them all, I would love you to reach out to me because I want to hear what you thought about the last battle. So
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Very cool. I'm
Yeah,
convinced I have to read it sometime.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and it won't take you. I mean, you'll zip right through them, but yeah, I loved them. Okay, how about you?
Okay. So my most notable reads, I'm going to start off with a nonfiction, and I read 107 Days by Kamala Harris.
Oh,
Yes, which was her the campaign, her 107 days campaign leading up to the election. A very propulsive read, even when you know the, even knowing the end. Damn it. Even knowing the end, like the way she has it set up, it goes day by day. Like you're getting her impressions or what she did, and she's brutally honest behind about all the behind the scenes of it, which I love seeing behind the scenes. It brought me back into honestly the excitement of those months because it was super exciting. It was I love her even more having read the book, but you're brought into the excitement and the dread of those days.
I'm just curious. Does she talk about Nancy Pelosi? I'm just curious. Does she mention much about Pelosi?
She's mentioned her once and twice, but there wasn't
Oh, okay.
much. There wasn't much. Yeah,
I was just
yeah.
curious.
But I have a call to action for any if there's any writers out there. I want the alternative history. Can someone please write the book
Oh,
of
yeah.
what happens if she wins? I don't know, just like so that it's this comfort read for us, but with a little feminine vengeance. I want
Yep.
that book. So I'm just putting a call to action out there, fanfic, whatever. I want
Yeah,
that book, you know?
I
But
agree.
just, yeah, comfort and yet vengeance, all one. I think I'm not asking a lot.
Wait a minute, maybe our favorite, vengeance writer, um,
Oh, Percival.
Percival Everett.
Yes.
He
Come
needs to
on,
write that.
Percival. This would be perfect. Or I need to read another Percival Everett. Maybe that's what I got to
Yeah,
do
maybe
now.
that's it
Yeah,
too,
maybe
yeah.
that's what I got to do. But
I love
anyways,
it.
it was. I waited a long time for this one to come in on from the library, but it was well worth the wait. I really enjoyed it. It was, if you want some background and just a strong feminine voice, you gotta pick it up. She's fantastic. I
Yeah,
love her.
that's wild.
Yeah. Okay, my next one, I'm going to take a big U turn and I'm going with a holiday romance that I'd read. It was from one of my holiday reads from the previous episode that we did. And it is Grace and Henry's Holiday Movie Marathon by Matthew Norman. Oh, what a lovely book this was. It was a love story. So it's closed door. You're not getting any sexy, sexy times. It's just like a lovely love story about two people who find each other when they're both dealing with grief. So a lot of it is also it's about grief, how we handle it in different ways because Grace and Henry have both lost a spouse
Oh, that's right.
through different ways, which we find out how they each lost their spouse. And they come together as friendship, basically, as having, because I think it's been about a year since they both lost their spouse. And Grace even says at one point, she's like, people have moved beyond. Like they've moved beyond her being the grieving widow, yet she is still the grieving widow. Like they don't want to hear about it, but she's still grieving. So
Yeah.
her friends, family kind of hook her up with Henry, who's going through a similar thing. And they decide to, because it's Christmas time, I think Thanksgiving is when they initially make contact or something, to watch Christmas movies because that's what Henry and his wife did together. So Grace also has two young children. So you see the relationship between Henry and especially her older son, who's 11, is wonderful because they're both artists. And just, if you love Christmas movies,
Oh, that
it's a
sounds
good
right.
one. It is Rebecca, I think you would enjoy this one.
Yeah, I
It's,
think so too,
yeah.
actually. Yeah.
And I'm like, I had not heard of Matthew Norman. I've not read anything else of his, but I'm searching out the rest of his books. Like he's worth looking up his backlist even.
Oh,
Yeah, it's
wow.
quite good. I'm doing another big U-turn right now, and I'm bringing I'm sorry, but yet another Helen Humphreys book because I
Yay.
am so close to finishing my goal of reading her backlist. So I've really, in the last 4 to 6 weeks, have been making a strong effort. So I'm bringing another Helen Humphreys book. This is a novel, Rabbit Foot Bill, historical fiction set in 1947 small town Saskatchewan, where we meet Leonard. Leonard is a young boy. His family has lived in this small town for over a year, but he's yet to make any friends. In fact, he's being bullied by, I know, poor Leonard, by a group of boys from the school are bullying him. He's not made any friends, but the girls do protect him, offer him some a shield at times if they can. But asshole boys get through the shields regardless of what happens. Also, 1947, he wasn't getting a whole lot of support from teachers either at that point,
Yeah.
too. So the only person that he has befriended is Rabbitfoot Bill, who is the town outsider. He literally lives outside the town limits in a cavern, but will come into town to do some odd work. Doesn't really talk to people, keeps to himself. And one of the things, how he makes money, is he sells rabbit feet for good luck. So, unfortunately, Leonard witnesses a shocking act of violence by Rabbitfoot Bill that leads to Rabbitfoot Bill being imprisoned and the severing of their relationship. 15 years later, Leonard, as a new graduate of a doctor of psychiatry, goes to work, have his first job at a mental hospital, the Weyburn Mental Hospital in Saskatchewan, where he is reunited with Bill.
Oh, I have to read this one.
Yes, it's not a happy book
Yeah.
because that reunion triggers things that don't end well. But in another way, they do end well because you find out also about something that happened to Leonard during his childhood that has affected him, but he has never been able to face. And same
Wow.
with Rabbit. Yeah. So it's a beautiful book. It's amazing how what she does with historical fiction lately, especially her last like three or four. Very, very cool. So it's based on a true story,
Ooh.
which is, I think in her acknowledgments she mentions a man who told her, like a friend of hers who had told her about this story that led to her writing this book. Also, she introduces, and this is also based on something that happened, the experimental LSD trials that were occurring in the 1950s in Saskatchewan at the Weyburn Mental Hospital with
Ooh,
the
wow. Yeah.
doctors and patients, between the doctors and patients. So that's also a really interesting side story, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Okay, that one is on my list.
Yeah.
That one sounds really good.
And again, it's like a shorter book, very compulsive. Like you're just like, I got to keep reading. You know what? I read it in one day last weekend. I
Wow,
started
okay.
on Sunday morning and I was able to finish it throughout the day by Sunday evening.
Yeah.
Yeah, which doesn't happen often to me.
Okay. I'm going to look that one up. See if I can get a copy.
Okay, my last book. Again, I'm doing another U-turn. It is a little chap book of poetry
Oh.
by one of our favorites, Holly Gadry. It is her newest one and it is called The Blades of Grass Are Dreaming, which I love that title. This little book, and it's so beautiful. Like it's a painting of flowers on the cover. It's really beautiful. And it's a little poetry book that you can sit down and read in like one sitting.
Yeah.
Because I haven't really looked into a lot of chapbooks. I actually had to look up the definition of a chapbook before we started, and it's just defined as a very short book of flash fiction or poetry. And I've got like various like that it's a collection of 15 to 47 poems or pages, so it's very there's boundaries, and yet those boundaries also seem a little like loosey goosey. Like,
Mhm.
so anyway, either way, if you're not reading poetry, it is an excellent way to get into poetry, like as an introduction, because it's not intimidating. It's not this huge, not that poetry books are often huge, but
Yeah.
the normal size of a poetry book might be a little daunting if you haven't read a lot of poetry or if you're intimidated by poetry. But I mean, these little chapbooks are so small and they're so pretty that I think it's like a really good way. And I love Holly's poems. She's great.
Yeah.
It's just like I feel like I'm getting little nuggets of Holly's days and her brain. And it's
Oh,
like a
yeah.
beautiful little brain. And I love how it works. So, oh, I'm going to say the publisher because I think they're not easy to get. You can contact Holly herself through her Instagram. That's how I did it and asked, just send her payment. But it's from Anstruther Press is the publisher, and I will check to see their website, and we can put it in the notes maybe to
Yeah, we'll put them in the show
yeah,
notes for sure.
if you want a little copy to treat yourself to a beautiful splotch of poetry in the winter days.
Yeah. And then we have coming up, because it is December, we will be having our sort of our year wrap up, right? That's going to be
Hmm.
coming up towards the end of the month. And then our goals for next year as well. Those two things will be coming up soon.
Have you been thinking about your goals? Do you have them already, or
No, usually
no?
by now I have, like, I already have, I usually
Me
by
too.
June I have my goals. I go, oh, that's what I'm going to do for next year. But
Yeah.
this year it's just been such a hectic year that I haven't really thought about it. Have you?
No, like every now and then I'm like, oh, I've got to think. And I'm like, and I don't know. I'm like, I don't know if I'm stuck on the Helen Humphreys thing, if I really want to finish off this goal before I decide what I'm moving on to next. But I don't have any concrete goals at the moment.
How many books do you have left of Helen Humphreys then?
Just one, just one. I know it's
You have to finish it
I
this
do.
year.
And I ordered it and it is sitting. I got the phone call yesterday. It is sitting at Different Drummer Books here in Burlington waiting for me. Oh, so
Excellent.
please, if someone hears this before Sunday, do not go and get my book. I'm actually not going to tell you. I just told you it's under my name. Stupid. I'm just joking. I know no one's going to do that. Besides, they know who I am. Wouldn't that be brutal if
Yeah.
I walk into the store and they're like, we just sold your book. You were just here.
Oh, do they leave your books, like, if you order it, they leave it sitting out or
No,
something?
like you have to go and ask for it, and it
Oh,
has
okay.
my name attached to it. So
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Okay,
yeah,
I see what you're saying. Oh, so just to call a different books or different drummer and say, okay, they have to show ID when
yes.
they pick up the book.
If they look unfamiliar to you, do not give them my book.
Exactly.
I think I've ordered two. I have two waiting for me.
Okay, so that's exciting. So you have
Yeah,
one book left. You have to finish it
I
this
I
year.
am going to finish it. I will, because that will be my next nonfiction read.
And then I'm just going to say, which I have said for, because it's really the end of 2 years. You will have finished them all
Yeah,
in the end of 2 years. I'm just going to say it again because but I have no idea if she does interviews for podcasts. But boy, if she does, I really feel like you have to talk to her because she's
yeah,
amazing. I
yeah,
think, I mean, when you wrap up like your overall experience of reading her body of work, I look forward to that. But she's, it's been a, it's been enjoyable to listen to you talk about all of her books because I have a number of them on my list for sure to read. And I just look forward to your kind of wrap up about that experience of reading all of her work. Yeah.
yeah.
Anyway, so
I've really
cool.
enjoyed it. I do have to reach out to her somehow, and if it's a no, it's a no. I'm fine with no's. You never
Well,
know until you ask.
but I also think, would you be super nervous to do it then? Because
Oh
I feel
yeah,
like I would be really nervous to talk to somebody if I've read all their works.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Nervous in that how do you pinpoint it too? Like, how do I
Yeah.
like just, and you can't just go, just talk. Cause then
Yeah.
she'll be like, are you an idiot? Like, okay, I shouldn't put words into her mouth, but you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
she would
Yeah.
be like, I didn't come here just to,
I listened to a podcast one time where that's what the interviewer did. He literally had a guest who had a wide variety of background and experience and
Yeah.
things. And he literally said, let's just talk. And I
Oh,
thought, oh my God. And you could tell the guy being interviewed just went like, where do I start? Like, what do
okay.
you want me to say? So yeah. I know you,
Okay,
first
so
of all,
I
you would
won't do that.
no, first of all, you would never do that. But secondly, it has happened. I mean, I actually
Wow.
experienced somebody doing that, and I felt so bad for the person being interviewed because really, what do you say? My gosh.
Yeah. Like,
Anyway,
how do you start?
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to talk
Yeah.
about that. But I do think it'd be really cool if you were able to reach out and she did say yes. I think that would just be a really nice way to wrap up that whole 2-year experience
Yeah.
of just being able to pick her brain a little bit, maybe.
Just a little. Teeny tiny.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, there we are. There we go. Done. Another book chat. Let us know what you've been reading, what you're currently reading, something that's really stuck out to you as we near the end of 2025. Where the hell did it go? Uh, you
Yeah.
know, all we can say is just keep reading. Happy reading.
Thank you for joining us on our bookish journey. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing Canada Reads American Style wherever you listen. You can connect with the podcast and Rebecca on Instagram at Canada Reads American Style and with Tara at On a Branch Reads. Until next time, keep reading.